Hi there, everyone. Dr. Hesser here, and I hope you're having a great weekend. I've had several of you email me and ask for a copy of the literature review document that I showed last week, I think. So I made a demo copy for you that you can then turn in to yours if you want. The reason that I made this is because my literature review for my doctoral work was getting completely out of control. there are like 1,800 different quotes. Um, but as I was reading, anytime I saw something interesting about my topic, retention, I grabbed it I had the PDF, which I found a lot on Google Scholar and my university's library. I would snag the PDF of a peer reviewed journal, so something I knew was valid and reliable in and contemporary within the last few years. Um, Send it to my iPad Notability app and use my Apple Pencil to highlight, and then send that back as a PDF to my Google Drive where I could copy and paste what I had highlighted directly into this matrix, this document, which I always joked and said I'm about to enter the matrix when it was time to study. Anyway, okay, so I said contemporary, and here I am at the very top showing you something from 2004. But this is related to a seminal author, Ingersoll. Seminal as in the guru about teacher retention over the years, and has done the most research that is well regarded by peers. And so that's an exception to our contemporary rule idea. When you find someone who's a seminal author in your area, then that's fine to be looking at something older. One thing I do want to point out also is that, like in this quote, I'm quoting DM and Barth, who are quoting Ingersoll. Okay, so when I see this, it's fine to take it and copy it as something I find important. It says Ingersoll concluded that teacher attrition and shortages are due largely to teacher dissatisfaction and pursuit of other jobs, and that Justice et al., no date, stated approximately 75% of the demand for new teachers is caused by teacher attrition. So it's not retirement, they're saying, which I found really interesting. Many people think, oh, we got to hire these teachers because of retirement. No, it's because teachers are leaving. And who's leaving? Well, what I found is it's the new teachers. Within the first 5 years, about half of them are leaving. But then it goes on to say Ingersoll, 2002, concluded well over 90% of new hires are simply replacements for recent departures. All right. So I look at this, I take this quote and realize, okay, I need to go find Ingersoll 2002. So if you see a quote like this in your literature review, you want to keep going until you find the original person that these other people are quoting. Then, as I showed you before, as I was reading, I started finding these themes, okay, these threads of things common that I was reading. I didn't know these themes before I started reading. So as you're reading, I'm hoping you're finding themes or ideas that you didn't know were associated with your topic. And you want to take note of those themes because that's what you're doing in a literature review. You're finding the contemporary ideas of other researchers in education. And as one person said, who didn't attribute their quote to anyone, they said, as others say, so I'm just going to say as others say also, then you want to take the things you have in common and think of them as if they're at a dinner party, what do they say to each other? Which I think is a really neat way to look at this. So when I look at all of my data related to job satisfaction, and I think about these researchers and everything they've said, what are they saying to each other? And that's how I synthesize and bring out the strands of ideas that I'm seeing in the literature overview, in my review of the literature. So, but with nearly 2,000 quotes, it's impossible for me to look at all of these quotes that I say have something to do with job satisfaction and make heads or tails out of any of them. So, what I had to do was then take each quote and I put it on a new tab. So my original had all every single one of these up here that I found as a theme also had a tab below, and I pulled out the quote so that I could just see it on one tab. So let's do that for data. All right. Now, again, this is not something you need to do. I'm just showing you because several people in the class have asked for this. So if this does not interest you or if it's too overwhelming, it's okay. You can just hit stop on the video. It's not a problem. All right. So number one, these checkboxes are coming from data validation rule. So you just click on the first column where you want your checkboxes in place, data validation, and you'll see that I put in this checkbox rule for anything from column F, line 2, all the way through column AN, line 1795. That's how many lines there are. So AN is the last column here, and 1795 is the last row. So all that's doing is saying, hey, put a checkbox in all of these spots, okay? And then as I'm reading, if I think it has to do with achievement, I check it. And that's basically how I worked that part of this sheet. Now, you might consider moving the full quote over to the A column because then you can go into view and you can freeze your A column, like freeze column 1. And then you can go through more easily, if this were your quote, be able to see all the different themes that you're coming across. And if your quote shows you a new theme, then you just add another column. Okay, the other thing is that I visually have a hard time with this. So if you want, you can go to formatting and put alternating colors in. And so notice I highlighted the whole document by clicking right up here. And then I'm just going to choose something that's easier on my eyes and hit done. And now, okay, so now I've got something showing me right away what my headers are. It just pops right out. And every other row is highlighted. So that makes it easier for me to see. I also can format this so that, let's see. Oh, I could go to view and freeze just the first row so that my headers are easy to see as I go up and down. All right, but the real power of this is taking this information about your themes and moving it to a new tab. So I'm going to do that with data, which is everything in column N. All right, so you would go to A1 of this. Now, this new tab has to be named the exact same thing as the column that you're going to be pulling from. So this is all caps data. I've got a new tab I made, all caps data. I'm going into A1 and I'm going to go up to the formula line and copy the formula in, which I just copied something else in. Lovely. Let me find it. Okay. All right, so I'm in A1 and I'm gonna copy in. All right, so there is my formula. And what it's saying is I want to take the year, the APA citation, the pay, which is when I say APA citation, that is what's going in on my reference page. Then I'm going to take the page number and the full quote, and I want it to land. And these things, by the way, these 4 things are found. You can see where it says main on the main tab, A2, B2, D2, E2. And then I'm going to pull from, let's see. Let's see what it does. All right. On the whole. Oh, it pulled from F. Okay. Oh, because I didn't change it to N. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to go back to my formula. And it pulled all of the quotes from line F. So I'm going to go into the formula and change that to N because I'm pulling from column N. And okay, there it is. I have, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the text so I can see it more easily. I'm going to wrap the citation. Goodness. All right. And let's see, what else do I want to do? Well, this is bothering me OCD wise. There we go, all right. It's a big deal for me. Okay. And you know what? I'm also going to, I'm going to put alternating colors in because this just gives me a headache looking at it like this. All right. So what do I have here? I have every single quote from the main page under the data column that was checked. So now I can read through and manipulate this data however I want, but it is going to give me the opportunity to synthesize. Now, there's still a lot here. And you know what? What is this? How many quotes were about data? Let's keep going. A lot, like 400. All right, so then you can start looking for, you can sort. So I could sort by the year and find things that are the latest, okay? I can also sort by name. So I'm looking for Ingersoll because I want to talk about him as a seminal author. I might look for government data. So I can search just this tab for government numbers, Health and Human Services numbers, I believe. Okay, so this is the, let's see, Eric Clearinghouse. Okay, and we get into like, this is data about retention in urban school districts. And this is data, you know, from the American School Board Journal. But this is from 2004. So the first thing I did was I went in by year and just kind of grayed out some things that I wasn't sure about as far as the year. And then started looking at, okay, 2021. And 2021, I've got some information there that I can point to better. My dissertation chair, no one is going to take information from 2001 for my dissertation. But what then you might be thinking, well, then why did she copy it? Because I'm trying to find themes and get an idea. Like, I'm trying to become an expert on this one thing I'm studying. And to do that, I want to know what everybody's been saying and is saying. Because maybe one of the trends I see is in the last 20 years, things have flip flopped, which is actually something that I talked about in my dissertation. I happened to be looking for a job in 1997, which tells you how old I am, and 1996, 1997, when I graduated. And I was up against hundreds of other teachers for one job. It was so hard to find a teaching job at that time that you were considered lucky if you were able to get in as a paraprofessional in a school, because that's how you got your foot in the door. And then strategy number 2 was try to substitute as much as possible so a principal could get to, and the other staff members could get to know you and know that you're someone that they would want on the faculty. Hundreds. I vividly remember sitting in an interview, and the principal looked behind her and said, these are all the other people who've applied for this job. And it was a stack like that. And I am not joking. But anyway, I ended up getting a job because I kind of made friends with the custodian and the secretary at a school. And I called nearly every day to see if the principal had made a decision about the interviewing. And I do think that maybe I wore them all down a little bit. But I got hired for 5th grade in that school, and I was thrilled because, again, I was up against this many people. And then fast forward, 25 years later, I became the superintendent in that school district. And we, for 2 years, couldn't find a qualified 2nd grade teacher. So things were very, very different. And that was one of the things that started me thinking, I want to research this. So anyway, you have your topic that you are wanting to research. So remember, you're looking for 10 articles. Try to find, not just try, but you are required to find things that are from journals that are peer reviewed. So they're valid and reliable sources. Things that are contemporary, so they've been published in the last couple of years, unless it's a seminal author. And then you are looking for, oh my heavens. What happened? Wow, my internet went out. All right, well, that's okay. I'm just going to keep talking and hope that it's recording. And then you're looking for some way to synthesize the information. So a literature review is not just collecting all this information, but deciding what is it saying to each other. I love that idea of they're at a dinner party and they're talking to each other. What are they saying? And then what are you thinking about what they're saying? So the literature review, and I'm going to post more information about how to do this, but that is your goal here, is to collect this information. And each of those tabs, the way that's set up, automatically populates. So you can just keep doing that same process with every one of the tabs that you want to make. With every one of the columns that you see is a theme. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to attach this demo literature review. I'm going to take almost all of my data out, but I'm going to leave the formula right here in A1. Okay. Under the data tab. And I'm going to leave, maybe like 2 or 3 lines here. Keep in mind, like this one right here, I think I already said it. I've done this video like 3 times because I lost the internet halfway through. Notice this is DM and Barth talking about Ingersoll. I want to find Ingersoll. So keep looking until you find the source where this person actually did say this. Okay. So that's it. I'll add a copy of this file onto this posting. I'll put this in the announcements. If you have questions, let me know. Again, you do not need to create something this complicated, but if you are going on to do doctoral research, and you're going to have a more extensive literature review, then I highly encourage you to set up a system that works for you. This is my system. You are perfectly, I'm giving it to you to use for yourself, not to sell or anything like that, but to use for yourself. And if you need help, I'm hoping that this video gives you enough instruction about how I created it to make it your own. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. My husband's a big Indiana University fan. He went there to college. So we're going to be watching Indiana football today. And then Wednesday, we're going to the first Indiana University basketball game. So we're driving to Bloomington, Indiana. So I hope you enjoy your weekend and the upcoming week also. Take care.